Hi and welcome to this demo of the SetProjectPath tool that is included in Mari Extension Pack 3.0. The Project Path tool allows you to configure default paths such as path for your texture export or reference images or whatever. So you're going to get to it just by the File menu and the Project Path. You're going to get this dialog which allows you to configure different paths. So for example, in here I've got my texture map import folder, and by default nothing has been set, so it just default to my user folder. So I'm just going to enter a path in here. Just name this the glorious test A, and then just set the project. And it'll ask me to create the folder because this folder doesn't exist. So now this path has been set, and whenever I import something into a texture stack, it'll default to this folder. So for example, let's go to import into layer, and I'm in my test A folder by default. Now let's go there again. Now this is, what you're seeing here is your last setting, which might be different from what is set on your project. So when you toggle off this texture map or the activation checkbox, you will see what is really set on your project. And that is important later on because like I said, when you're switching between projects, it'll always remember your last settings. However, when you load a project that has been previously configured, the project will be automatically restored to your correct path that has been set previously. So in theory, you only need to configure projects once, and you don't need to launch the tool again if you've already launched them once on this project at any time. So to continue on, we have this project base path up here, and that is a root path for your project that you can use to set other paths relative to it. So for example, in my case, I'm just gonna enter my test A again. Actually, let's name this test base A, and then I'm gonna want to configure other paths relative to it. So I'm gonna enter the variable for the base path, which is just $base. And you might have noticed when I typed in the $base, this relative to base turned on automatically. So now I can just, text import, and the same thing down here. I'm just gonna name this text export, and gonna set a non-relative path for my models, and then set the project, and it would resolve this path. So if you turn off this relative to base, it'll turn off the relativity to the base path. So the path will be fully resolved with whatever's in the base path. And if you toggle it on again, it'll scan similarities between the two paths and replace with the base path, the base variable, sorry. So now let's set the project, and it'll ask me to create the base path because it doesn't exist yet. And then it'll ask me as well, or show me what folders it needs to create, subfolders for the different variables. All right, so this project is set, and like I said, in theory, you would never have to set this project again. Whenever you open it, it should restore to whatever was set last on this project. So let's step over to another project and launch a tool for this one. And you might have noticed again that I'm seeing the last settings that have been used on this tool. However, they might be different from whatever is currently set. So when you close a project down, the variables for the default path will live on. So if you open the next project, by default for this Mari session, until you close Mari again, the same path will still live on. So this is why when I turn this off here, I'm seeing my base A path that I've been using on the previous project. So let's change this, and then keep this relative to base. Oh, sorry, should probably change this first. So this is relative, change this to base B, and I'm gonna change this to models B. So you can see this is relative, non-relative, the others are relative. And I'm gonna set this project, create the base path, create all the missing variable folders, and now this project is set. And whenever I go to an export, or any default folder I set object, if I add an object, I will be in my models B folder by default. Go back to our previous project. And now this project has been set already without doing anything. So if I go to export, flatten, you'll see here my base A folder, because I'm in my A project. The other one, the plain one, was the B project, has been set already. So let's still, for sake of argument, launch this again. First thing you'll notice, the base path has been correctly set to my base A. So the base path, if it has been set for a project, it will get stored per project. If there's nothing stored for that project, it will default to whatever's been used last. Same thing for the models B. You can see I'm in my project A, but the last setting that I used was models B. However, it's not been set on this project. If I turn off the geometry, I'll see what has been actually set on this project, which is the temp models path. So everything is stored per project. As long as it's been set something for the project, it will get restored no matter what, unless you change it. And the remembering of settings between sessions is mainly so that you don't have to reset set a new project all the time. So you just configure things as base, or if you have a generic models folder, just configure that and work with the base path just to quickly set a project. Same thing for the file templates. So you have templates for flattened textures as well as layer textures. So down here by default, you have all your variables that Mari supports, such as entity for your object name, the channel name for the channel, and UDIM, etc. These fields also support folder creation, so I can enter a $channel/ and set the project. And now whenever I export my default file template, we'll have this $channel subfolder in there as well, meaning that when I export, Mari will create a subfolder named after the channel to export, and then places channels UDIMs inside the subfolder. So this is pretty much all of it for the set project path. You should only configure your project once. That's the one thing to take away from this lengthy video. Yeah, hope you like it and enjoy.